Welcome to the Challenges Build Champions podcast, where we focus on creating breakthroughs in any area of your life. Check out mattscaletti.com for the latest merch. We have shirts, we have hoodies, we have swag, or if you need a keynote speaker, yours truly, or a trainer for your business, your school, or organization, on the topics involving resiliency, overcoming setbacks, personal growth, and self-confidence, shoot me an email. I'd love to show up virtually or in person and help you out. Now, get ready to change the trajectory of your life with today's episode starting right now. Welcome back, everybody. Challenges Build Champions podcast. I'm holding a book in front of me that I have to talk about. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And we're going to talk about 3 ways to outwit the devil today. Napoleon Hill, for those that know, wrote a very famous book called Think and Grow Rich back, I think, in the 1930s. This book, Outwitting the Devil, was written 1 year after that book, but Napoleon Hill, his wife, did not want him to put out the book because she thought it was way too controversial. Napoleon Hill passes away. I believe it was his daughter also didn't want to put out the book. Long story short, the book didn't come out until 2011. 2011, written, I think, in the 1930s. We're going to talk about 3 ways to outwit the devil, and this is coming straight from the book. I'll put my own little spin on it, but these are the 3 main ways Napoleon Hill talks about outwitting the devil. The first one is to have a definite purpose in your life. And Napoleon Hill talks about, and by the way, the book is basically an interview where Napoleon Hill is interviewing the devil. It's a conversation back and forth. It's fascinating. Some people have said that Napoleon Hill actually thought he had this happen in a dream or in some sort of altered state. I think he may have just thought about it and made up an incredible story based on a lot of reality that goes on in life. And so the first way to outwit the devil is to have a definite purpose in your life. And Napoleon Hill uses this idea of drifting. And for those that don't have a definite purpose, they drift. And I often think about the stereotypical 9-to-5 worker who just says, this just happens to be my life. I don't really like my job, or I hate my job, but this is just how I have to live my life. And they're looking at advertisements, they're looking at social media, they're buying things that they see constantly, they're being pulled in different directions because they don't have a purpose. So they're being easily sold advertisements and ideas and things on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and pulled all these different directions. They don't have friends that they intentionally have. It's just whoever seems to like them, they go in that direction. And these friends like to drink, so they drink. And there's no purpose. And Napoleon Hill talks about the antidote to drifting is to have a purpose. And I want to give you some ideas, like concrete ideas, versus just saying that a thought or in theory have purpose. You could write down a 1-sentence statement that is the primary aim of your life. Think about that. What is your primary mission? My wife and I were just talking about this, and it's so interesting to think about. If you only had one mission in your life, what would it be? And then to take an actionable step, once you have the mission, you can list the top 3 actions you can take this month or this quarter or consistently this year that will get you towards that mission. And then the final piece actually, I believe, comes from the original book, Think and Grow Rich, which is to review this daily. If you review your mission every day, it's top of mind. Most likely in the morning, bam, you wake up, you read your mission. Now you're thinking about your mission versus thinking about other things that will not propel you forward. Or as he uses in the book, Outwitting the Devil, drifting. You'll be focused on the mission instead of losing your focus and drifting and reacting to life's events versus taking action towards your purpose. So that's number one, how to outwit the devil. You have a definite mission or purpose. You review it every day. You almost obsess over it and you make it your mission to not drift. Number two is one of my favorite things to talk about. In one of our men's breakthrough groups, we call it the Breakthrough Brotherhood. We talked about this recently, which is mastery over fear. The second way to outwit the devil is to have mastery over fear. Now, in the book, the devil claims his primary tool to use is fear. And I'll give you the main, I think there's six of them, main fears that the devil uses. They are the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. Now, as I share those again with you, think about which one may be your biggest fear, or maybe it's a couple of them. Which ones stick out to you that you potentially have a fear of? Again, fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of old age, or fear of death. And Napoleon Hill, the author, insists that recognizing, confronting, and replacing fear with faith and action is essential to freedom. He talks about this consistently throughout the book. Instead of focusing on fear, you focus on faith. And there's a couple different ways to do it, which is you can name the fear. And for like, I thought about it, and fear of poverty is on my mind. So you name the fear, fear of running out of money. And is it really, is that an extreme version? Like, of course, there's different jobs you can get. Worst case scenario, you can find a job somewhere. But I have that fear to some extent. And maybe you can think of that, which fear you have out of those six. And then you can identify the belief that is fueling it. So if your fear is the fear of criticism, you may think that people will think I'm a failure. That's the belief that's fueling it. So I'm worried about criticism. Well, I don't know if I'm going to put out that social media video because people will think it's stupid, or people will think I'm screwed up, or I'm a failure, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm not enough. And then you identify the belief that's fueling it, and then you replace that belief with evidence and action. Basically, you if you're scared to put out a social media video, and you're scared and you have the fear of criticism. What are people going to say? I'm not going to put out the video. Some people will, I just talked to an acquaintance about this recently, years without putting out a video. So you can replace it with faith, faith that I'm going to put it out. So 25 people hate on it. What if one person's inspired by it? So you put out a video, then you put out another one, then you put out another one, and you just force yourself to put out another one, and you continuously take the actions, and now it's faith. Now the fear is going away. The fear is absolutely going away because you consistently take action on it. So you practice a fear replacement, and you then become way more faithful than you are fearful. We talked about having a purpose. That's the first way you outwit the devil. The second way you outwit the devil is you have mastery over fear. You take action, faith over fear. The final way, which is one we talk about all the time on this podcast, is self-discipline. Self-discipline. And in the book, one of the things he highlights, Napoleon Hill highlights, is controlling your thoughts, controlling your habits, controlling your emotions, rather than letting outside influences or impulses dictate your actions. And it's so interesting to me because he goes deeper into this. And please get the book if you haven't. This book was one of those books where I'm just sharing it with everybody because I don't know what took me so long to read it. I didn't really know much about it until I started hearing about it on some podcasts. dove in deeper and I thought I need to read this book. But the self-discipline of thinking about what you're thinking about and being aware of that. And to me, it's when you're I think there should be a lot of moments where you're not constantly looking at your phone, of course, right? Just sitting in silence. Let yourself be bored for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. I used to be somebody that always watched YouTube when I ate. And now if my wife and I aren't having a meal together and I'm just eating by myself, I just try to eat in silence. Just let myself think and then focus on what you're thinking about. And I think some of the best times to do it are if you're in the car and you just want to shut off everything, if you're in the shower or right before bed as you're laying in bed. What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about limiting beliefs? Are you thinking about something you're dreading the next day? Are you thinking about what you screwed up on the current day? That's fear. That's not self discipline. That's the devil entering our mind. How do we flip it? We recognize we're doing it and then have the discipline to think, okay, what is something great that happened today? What am I grateful for that happened today? There has to be a moment or two or five or 10, the way that your son or daughter smiled at you, somebody that you helped out, the way you gave your spouse a hug, a, something you laughed at throughout the course of the day with a coworker or a friend or a phone call that you reached out or a nice text message you got or an email you got. What's something good that happened that day? And then maybe you start to think about what's a goal I can accomplish tomorrow that'll get me towards a bigger goal. And you start to self discipline your thoughts and you don't let them run away down these rabbit holes of negativity and limiting beliefs and holding you back from what you want. One of the other ways you can do this is, and we've talked about this, I think months ago that we did a podcast on this. What are your non-negotiables? And maybe you pick two or three a day where this is what you're going to do. And it could be something as simple as if you wake up in the morning and normally you go grab a cup of coffee. That's not the worst thing in the world. But what if you drank 8 ounces of water first? You hydrated yourself first, and that's a non negotiable. What if you promise yourself, if you struggle with exercise, that's the first thing you're going to do every day? You're going to go for a 15-minute walk. You're going to do 100 jumping jacks. You're going to work out for 30 minutes. Whatever it is, what are the non negotiables you can implement that will help with self discipline? Because if you're not self disciplined, it goes back to the beginning where we talked about definite having a definite purpose. You drift. Without self discipline, you drift. And once you drift, according to the book, that's when the devil gets a hold of us. Once we start drifting off, okay, I'm going to exercise tomorrow morning. I'm getting up at 6. I'm going to exercise right away. Then you get up at 6 and maybe you snooze first. Now you get up at 6:10. And then, you know what? It's already 6:10. I'll look at my phone. And you open up Facebook. And then you go, oh, I need one of these things at the house. Like they're advertising that. And then you buy this and then you buy a shirt. And now it's 6:45 and you haven't done anything that you said. You've drifted off of the self-discipline. Think about where you can implement this. And just to give you a quick review, in three ways. And please get this book because it's absolutely fascinating and I think it'll help. It's like a punch in the mouth of different ways that you could outwit the devil and possibly say the other way, be more aligned with God or a higher power or a creator. I believe in God and I think that's what the book helps me do is be more aligned with God. The three ways: have a definite purpose. What's that one mission that you will go after consistently? Put it in front of you, put it on the mirror, put it on your desk, put it on the background of your phone, whatever you can help you see it. Number two, what's that biggest fear and how can you have faith over fear? And number three, self discipline. How can you stay disciplined? And what are those non negotiables you're willing to commit to? And you can make it really, really small at first. Like we said, 8 ounces of water, commit to it. Get that down for 3, 4 weeks, commit to another one, and then it can grow and grow and grow, and that's self-discipline. Again, the book is Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill. Those are three ways that you can outwit that being they call the devil and be more aligned with your purpose and God. Hope this helped. There's your challenge. 3 ways. Pick one of the ways maybe and start, or just go for all three and outwit that devil. Much love, and we will see you all next week. Thanks for listening to the Challenges Build Champions podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast, share it with a friend, put it out there on social media so we can continue to bring you the most valuable content on the planet. mattscaletti.com is where you can go to have me come speak at your business or MC an event of yours to help motivate, overcome challenges, and create breakthroughs. Have the best week of your life, and we'll see you next week.